When we temporarily deprive ourselves of food, we gain not only spiritual clarity, but also compassion, as we identify with those who regularly suffer from a lack of food. Fasting can be a form of protest or advocacy. It is a way to show solidarity with those who are deprived, either voluntarily or involuntarily. The practice of fasting teaches us about resilience and strength, showing us that we can live with much less than we imagine, and that our satisfaction does not need to be tied to consumption. Thus, fasting becomes a tool for cultivating a spirit of gratitude and contentment, essential aspects for a full and satisfying life. In a world that often values excess and speed, fasting is a vital reminder that true fulfillment comes from a spiritual source. It invites us to focus on what is eternal, instead of getting lost in the fleeting pleasures of the material. Fasting is not just an ancient practice, it is a transformative one that has the power to change not only individuals, but entire societies by reintroducing rhythms of life that honor both the body and the spirit. When fasting is intertwined with prayer and meditation, it becomes a powerful spiritual discipline that amplifies our communication with God. This concept is vividly illustrated in the life of the prophet Daniel, who, during a period of deep crisis, chose to fast and pray to seek wisdom and divine understanding. In Daniel chapter 10, verses 2 and 3, Daniel abstains from desirable foods, meat and wine for 3 whole weeks, dedicating this time to intensive prayer and seeking heavenly answers. This biblical passage highlights not only the practice of fasting, but also the combination of fasting with prayer as a means of receiving revelations and strengthening faith in times of uncertainty. Imagine fasting as diving into deep waters. Just as a diver uses ballast to descend to the ocean floor, fasting helps the believer deepen their presence with God, going beyond the superficial distractions of daily life to explore the depths of spiritual communion. In this state of voluntary deprivation, our minds and spirits become more receptive to the subtleties of God's voice, just as the silence of the ocean allows the diver to hear their own breathing and the subtle movements of the water. Beyond Daniel, many other biblical examples emphasize how fasting combined with prayer prepares the ground for divine interventions and spiritual insights. This practice is recommended as a way to humble oneself before God, acknowledging our dependence on Him for all things. Therefore, fasting is not merely a physical abstinence. It is an act of closing our mouths to speak more clearly with God, emptying the body to fill the spirit. Furthermore, fasting, when practiced regularly, can become an exercise in self-discipline, increasing our spiritual resilience and our ability to face challenges with greater serenity and focus. It teaches us to control our most basic appetites and subordinate them to our highest spiritual aspirations, strengthening our character and our faith. Thus, fasting is revealed not only as an isolated practice, but as a vital element in the life of anyone seeking to deepen their relationship with God and live according to His divine purposes. Although the idea of fasting may seem daunting, the Bible encourages us to face these challenges with faith. Fasting shows our dependence on God more than on our daily sustenance. Consider Jonah and the people of Nineveh, whose fasting and repentance led to a divine change of heart, as described in Jonah 3, verses 5 to 10. This biblical narrative not only illustrates the powerful influence of fasting on the community of Nineveh, but also serves as a model of how fasting can be effective in provoking repentance and spiritual change. When the Ninevites heard God's message of imminent destruction, they responded with a comprehensive fast embraced by everyone, from the humblest citizen to the king himself. This collective response of fasting, wearing sackcloth, even among animals, was not just a symbolic act, but a sincere gesture of humility and a deep desire for change, which led God to reconsider the judgment He had promised upon them. Think of fasting as a spiritual reset button, similar to restarting a frozen computer to correct errors and improve performance. Just as restarting a computer interrupts problematic processes and initiates a new state of operation, fasting interrupts our habitual patterns of behavior, allowing us to reflect, reevaluate, and renew our commitment to God. This shows that by adopting fasting as a spiritual practice, we are not merely giving up food or certain comforts, but actively seeking a new way of thinking and living aligned with divine purposes. What does this mean for you today? Fasting can become a vital tool for overcoming personal struggles by providing focused time for prayer and meditation, which helps clear the mind and strengthen the spirit. By fasting, you can find the clarity needed to face personal challenges or intercede for others more effectively. Abstaining from food or worldly pleasures as a form of fasting can help reduce distractions and amplify your sensitivity to God's voice, allowing you to receive direction and strength to act in alignment with divine will. Fasting serves as an act of solidarity and empathy with those who suffer. By experiencing, even briefly, a form of deprivation, you can develop a greater understanding and compassion for those who face continuous hardships. This shared experience can inspire practical acts of help and advocacy, transforming fasting into a powerful tool for service and ministry. By incorporating fasting into your spiritual life, you not only follow a biblical example, but also open the door to profound personal and communal transformations. Fasting offers an exceptional opportunity to step away from worldly concerns and draw closer to God, seeking not only personal changes, but also the well-being and blessings of those around you. This deep dive into the meaning and practice of fasting highlights its transformative power and its vital role in strengthening faith and developing spiritual character. By fasting, we not only seek greater closeness to God, but also prepare to serve others more effectively and compassionately. Fasting is a form of personal sacrifice that can lead to a greater understanding and deeper application of divine principles in our daily lives. It is crucial to fast with a pure heart. Jesus warned against fasting as a spectacle to gain the approval of men. Matthew 6:18. Your fasting should be an offering to God, not a display for others. Fasting can also be a communal practice. In the early church, fasting before making important decisions was common. Acts 13:2-3, strengthening the unity and spiritual clarity of the community. Isaiah 58 challenges the practice of fasting to go beyond mere food abstinence, encouraging acts of justice and love for others. How can your fasting extend to acts of kindness and social justice? Think about how fasting can alter not only your spiritual state, but also positively influence those around you. Have you ever considered fasting as an act of solidarity with those who suffer? If you have never fasted, start small. Fasting one meal can be a significant first step. Plan your fast with prayer, asking God to guide your motivations and objectives. There are various types of fasting. Absolute fasting, where no food or water is consumed, is extreme and should be done cautiously. Partial fasting, such as Daniel's fast, which restricts specific types of food, can be a more sustainable option for beginners. Set the duration of your fast wisely. It is not the time that matters, but the sincerity of your heart and your pursuit of God. Remember, God knows your intentions and will honor your commitment. Consider fasting with a group or a trusted friend. Mutual support can be crucial, especially when facing challenges during fasting. At the end of your fast, reflect on the lessons learned and the answers received. Each fast is a journey of spiritual discovery and closeness with God. How has fasting influenced your worldview and daily interactions? Is there renewal in your spirit and attitudes? Do not let your fasting experience be isolated. Consider incorporating fasting regularly into your spiritual life as a practice to keep your spirit vigilant and your heart focused on God. Remember, the true purpose of fasting is to deepen your relationship with God. He sees in secret and rewards openly. May your fasting journey be a gateway to profound spiritual experiences and personal growth. Reflecting on these teachings and integrating them into your fasting practice, you may discover new dimensions of your faith and ways of living that enrich not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. Fasting is not merely a discipline of denial. It is a celebration of dependence and trust in God, and an opportunity to cultivate a more open and compassionate heart.